Now then, welcome to another video. So, a bit more Ravenguard this week. If you remember from my last video, I'd painted up my two tactical squads there and there, and my commander. Now, the first thing I've done is I've managed to get a decent matte varnish on them. So, let's just try and zoom in on him. There we go. So he's nicely matted down now. Looks much better, I think. And the troops themselves are all matted down as well. So if you remember last time, they were still a bit shiny. What's the focus, that is? There we go. Yeah, so there's my veteran sergeant from that squad. Yeah, doesn't really want to focus. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. So they've all been matted down. And then what I did was I had my tactical support squad, which I was working on last week, and I've got them done. So let's have a look at those. So my tactical support squad, they're all done now. Again, as I mentioned before, all armed with melter guns. Let's get some focus on here. There we are. I tried to do the burnt metal effect on the end of the guns. I maybe went a little bit too heavy with it, so it's supposed to be like a purpley colour that goes into blue and then into black. I think I went over it a couple of times too many with the black, and it's darkened it down, but you still get that effect. It's still that burnt effect. I've got the tactical support markings on there, and yeah, I think they're looking pretty good. So there's one. I'm going to show you the sergeant. He came out quite nice. There we are. There he is. Still finding it a challenge to get this black looking interesting. From a distance, they just look like a big black horde, but when you look closer up, you can start seeing the details and things. And with the matte varnish, you can actually see the highlights and stuff a bit more. So it's tied them all together. So that's those. I'm happy with how they turned out. Yeah, that's that lot. We'll put them back. And what I've also managed to do is get another squad done. So let's have a look at those. Okay then, so for my last squad that I've managed to get done this week is my Tartarus Terminator squad. I gave all these white shoulder pads just to brighten them up a little bit, and I really like these models. Armament for them, I gave them all combi bolters and lightning claws, all of them, because my idea for them in the game is just to advance up the table and get into close combat as quick as they can. But I wanted to give them a bit of range firepower so that they can react if they're shot at, they can shoot back, or if the enemy gets a jump on them and charged into them, then I can use a bit of Overwatch. And what I found in games is shooting's really powerful in Horus Heresy 2nd edition, so I thought everyone needs a gun really, but I still wanted to go with the iconic kind of power claws or lightning claws that the Ravenguard use. But anyway, so these guys came out really nicely. I'm starting to get the hang of using the airbrush now, I think. It came out quite well on these. So you got the Legion badge on the shoulder there, and then the kind of elite first company cross on the shoulder. Again, went with the turquoise blue for the eye lenses and the gun lens and the little, I don't know what they would be, little targeting lenses or whatever they are on the shoulders there. Yeah, so they came out quite nice. This one came out really well actually. A decent pose on that one. There he is. Some reckons he looks like Perturabo. But yeah, there he is. The sergeant. There he is. Put him my least favourite pose out of all of them, unfortunately, but yeah, never mind. He's got the grenade harness on his back there. Slightly different badge there. Still the first company or the elite company, but it's got the 19 symbol underneath. Yeah, so they came out quite nice. Now the bases on these, I've had quite a lot of comments about the bases. So this textured part here is just milliput or green stuff, whatever I had to hand. Roll it out nice and flat, and then use a green stuff roller. to roll it out. And then once it's kind of semi-dry, I cut it all up and then let it dry fully. And then I just incorporate it onto the bases with bits of cork and sand and stones and things to make it look like a smashed up kind of mosaic floor. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, so that one there, you can see it's like a little bit more ornate on that part there. Yeah, and this one here, it's got like a Greek warrior's helmet kind of part on it. Just kind of turned out quite cool. So I use that. And the green stuff roller is this one that I use. It's the Greek one. It's got loads of different textures on there. So you can mix and match it a little bit. It turns out pretty well. I've had quite a lot of comments on how do I paint them. So once it's all dry and it's been undercoated, I painted the figures, and I move on to the bases. So the main grey is the Vallejo neutral grey, that one there. Once that's on, put quite a heavy coat of Agrax Earthshade, which I'm running out of, which is a shame because I think they've changed it, over the top of that. Once that's dry, back to this, heavy dry brush of this over the top, and then using the AK Interactive pigments, I use, the main one I use is the Middle East Soil one, which is kind of like a grey colour, and then sprinkled in amongst it I put ochre rust powder on there. Once that's on, I just sprinkle it all on, then I get a big brush and I just brush it all in, and try and blend it in a little bit. Once that's on, make sure when you're doing it you get it up onto the legs and things as well, as you can see on him. It kind of ties them in to the environment they're in. Once that's all on, then you just use some pigment fixer, and you just basically just dip your paintbrush in this and you just dab it on, and then it sort of just soaks into everything. Don't try and smush it on, just dab it on and let it do its work. Yeah, and that's it. It's as simple as that. And then once it dries, it looks terrible once you first put this on. It just looks a mess. And you're kind of wondering, what have I done? But then once it dries, it goes like that. So you've got to kind of trust the product, really. And it's my first time ever using these kind of pigments and airbrushes and all this kind of stuff. And it's all a learning experience for me. So any tips and tricks that anyone's got, I'd be really interested to hear. But I think it's coming out okay, seeing as I'm quite new to it. So anyway, I waffled on a fair bit there. So what's next for the Ravenguard? So next up, we've got the Contemptor Dreadnought. As you can see there, he's got no arms. That's because I've magnetised it. Again, a new thing for me, magnetising things. I do like to try new things all the time when I'm painting and modelling. But yeah, there he is. Quite a cool model, I think. He's a little bit more static than I wanted him to turn out, but I built him all up yesterday and I had a bit of a headache and I was a bit tired. I should have maybe waited, but never mind. Yeah, but it's a cool model anyway. Yeah, so you can see the magnets there just underneath. And then what you do is you've got these little weapon attachment points with the magnet in. So they just click in there, and that clicks in there like that. So you got the two weapon mounts, and obviously they can move around. And then there's a assortment of weapons that I've built them all from the kit. So we've got the autocannon. What it is if you look inside that part there, you can see the magnets inside. So there's one in each side. It's a bit fiddly getting the polarity right. Make sure you do it properly, or else you'll have a nightmare. And then they just basically pull that part off. That slots in there like that. Get the polarity right, Stephen. There we go. So that clicks in, and then you can just attach it. And then on this arm, for example, I've got a power fist. There we are. I can click in there. There. Or I'll put him on upside down. There we go. That's it. I've got a power fist and an autocannon there. And then what I've got the big double heavy bolter. Again, it's all magnetised, so I can clip that in. That'll go either side, so I could either take the power fist off and put that on, I'll take that off. Got a big las cannon, again all magnetised, so I'll get that painted up. I could use that. But I think the loadout I'm going to go with is the melter cannon. So it's quite close range, but it's a good tank hunter. So what I'll do is I'll probably take that off. Put that in. And that'll probably be my primary weapon. Because inside this power claw there's also a built-in melter gun. You can just see there in between his fingers. And that's like the power unit for it. I think I've stuck this together upside down, but never mind. Yeah, so that's it. Pretty cool. And also it's got the missile launcher on top. I was going to magnetise that, but in the end I just couldn't be bothered. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick it on. And again with the base, using the roller. So you've got all that different texture in there. So what I did with this one, I just I put the milliput directly onto the base and then rolled it, and then using a scalpel I cut holes in it, cut parts of it off so I could fill it with rubble to make it look a bit more smashed up and war-torn. Yeah, and then the model itself is pinned underneath to the base. You can see one of the pins coming through there, one there. Yeah, so it's all pinned together, so it should be pretty sturdy. Yeah, it's turned out quite well. Really looking forward to getting it painted. Cool. So I have definitely waffled on long enough now. Hope you're all doing well. Hope all your hobby stuff's going well. I've been watching all your videos. As usual, I don't comment as much as I should. Sorry. I'll try harder. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.